Is it your period, or could you actually be pregnant? You go to the bathroom and notice light bleeding. It's earlier than expected, it's lighter than usual, and suddenly your mind starts racing. Is this just my cycle starting? Or is this something else? Light bleeding in early pregnancy can be incredibly confusing. Many women mistake implantation bleeding for a period, and many assume it's a period when it might not be. In today's video, we go into calmly and clearly break down the difference between implantation, bleeding, and a menstrual period, so you can better understand what your body might be telling you. Welcome to Pregnancy Explained Lab, where we break down pregnancy and reproductive health in a scientific, clear, and reassuring way. If you want accurate, easy-to-understand explanations about early pregnancy and your body, you're in the right place. This video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. If you're concerned about symptoms, always consult a qualified healthcare provider. Let's start with implantation bleeding. After ovulation, if sperm fertilizes the egg, the fertilized egg begins traveling down the fallopian tube toward the uterus. This journey takes several days. Around 6 to 12 days after ovulation, the fertilized egg attaches itself to the lining of the uterus. This process is called implantation. When implantation happens, the tiny embryo burrows into the uterine lining. In some women, this may cause very light spotting. This is what we call implantation bleeding. Now, not everyone experiences it. In fact, many women never notice any bleeding at all. So why does it happen? The uterine lining is rich in tiny blood vessels. When implantation occurs, a small number of these vessels can break, leading to light spotting. At this stage, progesterone levels are rising to support pregnancy. Shortly after implantation, the body begins producing HCG, the hormone that pregnancy tests detect. Implantation bleeding is typically very light, short-lived, more like spotting than a flow, and it usually happens before your expected period. Now let's talk about a menstrual period. A period happens when pregnancy does not occur. Each month, your body prepares for pregnancy by thickening the uterine lining. This process is driven by hormones, mainly estrogen and progesterone. If no fertilized egg implants, hormone levels, especially progesterone, begin to drop. That hormonal drop signals the body to shed the uterine lining. This shedding is what we know as menstruation. A typical period occurs about 14 days after ovulation, lasts between 3 to 7 days, involves a steady flow of blood, may include cramping due to uterine contractions. Unlike implantation bleeding, a period is the shedding of a fully developed uterine lining, which explains why the flow is usually heavier. Now let's compare them clearly. 1. Timing. Implantation bleeding usually happens 6 to 12 days after ovulation, often a few days before your expected period. A period typically starts around 14 days after ovulation, if you have a regular cycle. If bleeding comes earlier than expected and is very light, implantation could be a possibility. 2. Flow. Implantation bleeding is usually light spotting. You may only notice it when wiping. A period generally starts light but becomes moderate to heavy, requiring pads or tampons. This difference exists because a period involves shedding an entire uterine lining, while implantation affects only tiny surface blood vessels. 3. Color. Implantation bleeding is often light pink, brown, rust-colored. This happens because the blood may be older and moves slowly out of the body. A period is usually bright red at the beginning, dark red as it continues. The brighter color reflects active shedding. 4. Duration. Implantation bleeding typically lasts a few hours to 1 to 2 days. A period lasts 3 to 7 days. If bleeding continues and becomes heavier over several days, it is more likely to be a menstrual period. 5. Cramping. Implantation may cause very mild cramps, sometimes described as light pulling or tingling. Period cramps are often stronger and caused by uterine contractions that help shed the lining. However, every body is different. Some women have mild periods, and some have stronger early pregnancy sensations. 6. Clotting. Implantation bleeding usually does not contain clots. Menstrual bleeding may contain small clots because it includes tissue from the uterine lining. Yes, and this is very common. Early pregnancy symptoms can feel similar to premenstrual symptoms. Both can include mild cramping, breast tenderness, mood changes, fatigue. Hormones are responsible for this overlap. Progesterone rises after ovulation whether you are pregnant or not. That's why PMS and early pregnancy can feel similar. So how can you be more certain? If bleeding is lighter than usual, shorter than usual, and does not become heavier, it might not be a typical period. The most reliable way to know is to take a pregnancy test. For best accuracy, wait until after you miss your period. By then, HCG levels are high enough to be detected reliably. Testing too early may give a false negative result. If you're unsure, you can repeat the test after a few days. Most light spotting is not dangerous. However, seek medical attention if you experience heavy bleeding, severe abdominal pain, dizziness, or fainting, shoulder pain. In rare cases, bleeding with severe pain could signal an ectopic pregnancy, which requires medical care. If anything feels unusual or concerning, it is always okay to consult a healthcare provider. Light bleeding can feel confusing and emotional, especially if you're hoping to become pregnant or worried that you might be. Remember, not all spotting means pregnancy. Not all early bleeding means something is wrong. Your body can have natural variations. Tracking your cycle can help you better understand your timing. And if you suspect pregnancy, test at the right time for the most accurate result. Be patient with your body. It communicates, sometimes subtly. If this video helped you understand the difference between implantation bleeding and a period, please give it a like. Subscribe to Pregnancy Explained Lab for more clear and scientific explanations about early pregnancy. If you have questions or topics you'd like us to cover next, leave them in the comments below. And if you're wondering when to take a pregnancy test for accurate results, watch our next video right here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.